as weird as it might sound, was not uncommon during World War II, and actually both sides were known to get freaky with some pills to stave off fatigue. But a certain Finnish soldier, Aimo Koivunen, took it to the next level and had quite an adventure in Lapland during World War II, while high on Gosfring's meth supply. Or maybe it was German-produced Pervitin. Anyways, hello and welcome to Discover History. Aimo's adventure begins in the early morning hours of March 18, 1945, in the harsh, frozen wilderness of Lapland. The day started like many others for Aimo and his comrades, greasing up their skis, brewing tea. It seemed like it would be a day not so different from the ones past, filled with the relentless cold and the ever-present threat of conflict. But all of that changed when the Fire Nation attacked. Or it might have been a Soviet ambush. I am actually not quite sure. Aimo and his men attempted to return fire, but they were quickly overwhelmed and began retreating. Leading the way, Aimo cut tracks through the knee-deep snow, pushing his body to its limits. Despite his love for the fast and furious, the fatigue began to wear on him. With his life and the lives of his comrades hanging in the balance, Aimo needed to think fast and furiously. Luckily, back in Finland, his unit had been supplied with a powerful stimulant that commanders promised would provide a burst of energy when they needed it most. This stimulant was a form of swallowable crystal meth known as Pervitin, developed in Berlin by von Heisenberg. And Aimo carried his entire unit supply of 30 pills, a hefty dose meant for his whole squad. However, in the midst of the chase, with thick mittens not helping out, and no time to waste, Aimo was unable to parse out the recommended dose and just down the entire supply in one go. The effects were almost immediate. Aimo felt a surge of energy, and he began to ski at a much faster pace, which the Soviets were unable to match. But as a slight side effect, his vision became blurry, and he slipped into a state of delirium. Nonetheless, the now trippy landscape did not stop him from skiing, while somewhere along the way, losing consciousness. After escaping the Soviets, his unit noticed his now altered state and decided to take his ammo, most likely for their own safety. It is unclear what happened next and where his men went, but when Aimo finally regained consciousness the next day, he found himself alone, having traveled an astonishing 100 kilometers in an unknown direction. With his comrades over in sight, he had no other choice but to point his compass towards Finland and begin skiing. Sadly for him, the journey was far from simple. On one occasion, Aimo and his companions spotted a cloud of smoke on the horizon and decided to move towards it. Sadly, his new buddies were a hallucination, but a cliff wasn't, which he proceeded to tumble down. On a different night, after setting up camp, Aimo noticed a beast lurking in the darkness, slowly lurking towards him. The beast lunged at Aimo, and with a knife in hand, Aimo struck back. To the realization he was punching a tree with his compass. Yeah, well, at least Don Quixote would be proud. After calmly spending a night in the cabin, which was literally on fire, Aimo's streak of bad luck and the meth indulging in some tomfoolery continued. He stumbled into an abandoned German camp, where he set off a landmine, which also somehow caught on fire. Although he survived the blast, he was left drifting in and out of consciousness, desperately waiting for help for over a week. While the omega dose of methamphetamine suppressed his hunger, it nonetheless was slowly returning as the days passed, leaving badly injured Aimo no choice but to eat pine buds and whatever else he could get his hands on, at one point managing to catch a Siberian jay and eating it raw. Realizing that help would never come, Aimo, on enough meth to supply the whole of Albuquerque, New Mexico, pushed on, and after 2 grueling weeks of survival against all odds, he was eventually found by other Finnish soldiers, confused and talking non-stop. The soldiers, after a few hiccups along the way, eventually got him to the hospital. During his adventure, Aimo recounted that he had largely lost count of time and would often wake up not understanding what he himself was doing and how he ended up there. Yet, he crossed over 400 kilometers and dropped to just 43 kilograms, all while maintaining a heartbeat of 200 BPM, twice that of an average human. Incredibly, after going through all that, Aimo managed a full recovery and lived a happy, most likely meth-free life until the age of 71. Of course, you should take this story with a grain of salt, or a 30 pill pack of it. As you could imagine, it is impossible to confirm what actually happened during Aimo's adventure, as he was the only one there, and let's just say, he wasn't in the clearest of minds. Nonetheless, his story stands as a testament to human endurance and the extreme measures sometimes taken in the name of survival. If you found Breaking Bad references unfunny, consider subscribing and leaving a like. Thank you all very much for watching Discover History.